It's a Spurs podcast with the two Bryans featuring Adam Clarke on tour. Welcome to the show. I want to say hello to Adam Clarke. Thank you for being with us again, brother. It's good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm a lot more happy than I was like after United, especially with our new manager. Like, I know I didn't win at the weekend, but like, at least we didn't concede or didn't lose this time. So
yeah,
you have to take every positive, like no matter how small it is, like at this stage.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to get into that too, because I think that from talking about passages of play and sort of the style of football that we're playing, it's clearly different, and it was immediate, even in the test game. So we'll get into those details. I want to welcome back, though, Brian Daigle, who has made his way back to Canada safely. Good to see you, brother.
Thank you.
Do we want to see the tattoo? Do you want to show everybody? Is it real? Is it real?
We're talking about it now, yeah.
Is it real?
We're talking about it like backstage, yeah.
Did it rub
yes.
off? Oh, it is really
I have to put on my glasses for this.
There you go.
Oh my god!
Look
It's a
at
thing of absolute beauty, like
still healing, yeah, still healing though.
Yeah. So yeah, it started doing the scabbing over bit. I've got some really great moisture, like a aftercare kit that the great tattooist Archie at Eight Princes gave us. And yeah, it's doing good. It's doing good. I'm still very, very happy with it. And this is the thing; it always brings a smile to my face, even when I'm like in my 90s. Please God, and I look at it. It might be a little bit wrinkly after that, so it might be like make different words up. But yeah,
it's a big part of your life, especially at this point of it. It's the thing about tattoos often is they're a moment, right? They're like sort of represent something that's happened, and what happened with VR Tottenham TV and your appearance there has led to this channel and what we're doing here and what we're going to do in the future. So you may as well mark it with something special, right? And I think that's a positive thing,
So you know what? I mean, I'm gonna talk a little bit about it as well. Now, all I've said with all my tattoos, whenever I got them, I didn't want to be one of those people that just got tattoos for the sake of it, and they were just like just to put some ink on your body. Now that was my 10th tattoo. And every single one of the 9 meant something to me personally, like the Star of David on my chest, my grandparents' memorial was a famous Nelson Mandela quote on my back, quotes I came up with when I went into rehab, the mental health slogan. And obviously, those all mean something to me historically and have played a big part in my life and my journey. And then obviously I made this one. And I've made some stupid bets before. People that used to work with me, I've dyed my hair green. I've had to literally, when I was working in Booking.com London, I was leaving to come to Toronto, and people said to me, Brian, crawl on all fours like you're a cat, open that office door where all the big wigs were, and just go meow, and then walk out. And someone dared me, and I did that in front of like the whole of Booking.com's major.
Oh my God!
So I've been known to do some stupid things. And then
you're a man of your word, though. I give credit to where it's due. Like,
well, this is the thing. I mean, I said it, and as I said it, you know what? I was so convinced that it wasn't going to happen. Like, I think a lot of people. Let's be fair. I think a lot of people may have been on that assumption that it's another Hail Mary, and let's try and get everyone excited. And then obviously throughout the day, it just started becoming more and more like, oh my God, this is happening. And I'd already said my stupid quote, and I'd laid the marker down, so I had to go through it. And now what I do need to say about this is obviously there was a lot of social media activity about this, a lot, especially in the Tottenham community. Obviously, I'm not going to go into one person who I'll deal with on another time, footballing genius, but I'll talk about everyone else. Obviously, there was a lot of love, and people were giving me so much praise. Oh, you're a man of your word. Oh, you're crazy. All this, and it's so. But there are a few people like, oh my God, your promotion, people getting tattoos for silly bets. How dare you do this? Because kids will be watching this.
I saw a bit of that too, and and I was a bit like,
and literally, it got to the bit And it's just like, listen, guys, not a lot of people knew the background story behind it, or hadn't even paid attention to the video that Ben and We Are Tottenham TV have put together. Especially a big shout out
to those lads too for the work they did on that
as well. Yeah,
really good stuff. And they let us put it out on our channel too. An affiliation with them was wonderful stuff. You know,
exactly. So that all went on, and obviously even Ben was saying when I spoke to him yesterday on Good Morning Tottenham, he said, "Brian, when I went to the game on Thursday, everyone I came up to me said, "Oh my God, is that actually it happened?" And they're like, "Oh my God, Brian's a nut." So you know what? It brought out a lot of fun. That was all it was. A lot of fun and everything. And I said I'll shout this guy out because he tweeted me. And I said, if you're watching, and I'm sure I hope he is, someone by the name of Coys2000 or Coys1219 actually just sent a tweet to me and Ben or me and We Are Tottenham TV today, and I said, "So I had a vasectomy today, and halfway through, the doctor sees my Spurs hat on the chair and says to me, 'You know I'm a gooner. I can make this hurt a little more.' Just kidding. Wouldn't expect less from a gooner." And he tweet, and that's what this tattoo is doing. It's like literally. So, Coys1219. I hope you're recovering well. And that's what it's about. Just a bit of fun and a bit of like. If people know me and have seen me, they know that I'm a man of my word, and I'm very, very light-hearted. I can be on the other side, but that's all it was.
Well, we all know now anyway. We definitely know now. Like
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I want to give a quick shout out to Eugene's Spurs Suasion TV as well. Adam, you were on there, and the heartfelt conversation you guys had with Brian was really just beautiful stuff. I think all the people that were on there just said amazing stuff to you, and of course I tried to do my best version of that at the end of our version of the video, and I hope everybody enjoyed it because it was just it brought a massive smile to my face, and I'm hoping that for most people that was the case, and I think that was the point, and of course. Now you've got it on your body forever, and you'll have a story to tell for a long time.
Exactly.
It's always going to be hilarious. So I just want to get into saying hello to some of the people here because there's tons of great people here that have joined us. Chris Agenbar is here. Chris, Jimmy Gitt,
Chelsea. With Chris Agenbar, I said, Chris, I want to shout a few people out that I may have forgotten. Chris Agenbar, who obviously we see that name before. Obviously, we know the reference with Holly. He actually came to the last protest that I went to.
Yeah, he said you guys met in person, right?
Did it?
Yeah, so we got to meet. What an absolute tip-top guy. But there's another guy called Phil. Phil, I can't remember. He's got a long number thing at the background. He wants to come on the show, so we're going to get him on the show soon. But Phil, Seb Shah, obviously all of the Tudor and changes for Spurs. There was just so many. I can't remember everyone by name, but everyone who's watching this, who saw me at the protest, just thank you for coming to protest. Thank you for being part of it. Just let you know, it's still carrying on. There will be one at the Leeds game.
It's not over.
It's not over. Stage 1 is done. But yes, so Chris Agenbar said I'd give him a big shout. And once again, man of my word. So there we go.
All right, I'm going to get through these the rest of the folks that are with us. Jimmy Gitt, 2 Brians, 2 footballing brains. Well, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. That makes me feel good. And shout out to Adam Clarke and his footballing brain as well. Shelfside Spurs, amazing. The Canadian Arms of Living Legend by Brian DeGoul. What's up, Rez 9000? Matty Hayes is with us.
Tom the mess.
Yeah, Matty, welcome back to you too, buddy.
Fun fact: me and Matt are the same age.
Oh yeah, shit.
Yeah,
you
wouldn't guess it like.
I put a tweet out yesterday, and I meant every single word of it. Yesterday, look, the skies are greyer here today, but yesterday when I saw that Matt was coming on live, I went outside straight away. The sun was shining, the skies were bluer, the birds were singing louder, and it's all because of the return of this man to YouTube. Because honestly, he is so incredible. He is so brilliant. Spoiler alert: there may be something in the Seb Shah's in the chat. Big up, Seb. That he may be doing with us next month.
Got some stuff lined up with Maddie, so looking forward to doing that.
It's great to see him back because you know what? Congratulations once again on your silver award. I know it's a little while out, but I haven't been able to say it whilst I've been back in Canada, mate. If anyone deserved it, in fact, you deserve gold, brother.
Should have won it if you asked me. Yeah.
He is simply outstanding, and it's honestly within the Tottenham community to see the praise and love to see Matt back just justifies what an incredible dude this guy is.
For sure. Big up Chris being here as well. Ronan is with us again. Ronan's always with us. Cheers, buddy. The good old Hal Perry. What's up, Hal? How you doing, brother?
See you at the yard.
Good to see you. Chris is Brian and Brian Ireland and Adam. Yep. Cheers, big up Chris. Catman Jess, big up the 2 Brians and Adam. What's up,
Paris
Catman?
Army legend.
Yeah, good stuff.
Another Canadian.
Vitamin E Daigle from Hal Perry. Nice one. True Blue Spurs. Bryce is always kicking around. Good morning, lads. Yeah, I forget where he is. He's good morning, right? It's his time difference. He's in Australia. That's where it is, right? Brian Daigle is a legend. Has Josh TTG got his? We were talking about this. We were talking about this. Adam and I were chatting about this before. Brian, you got there, and we weren't sure. Did Josh? Did Josh follow through? And does anybody know? And if he has, we need to get him on, and we need to have that conversation.
Yeah.
So basically, what I do know from Josh is when I last spoke to him, he said he would have it done by the end of the month.
Okay.
So
Adam, what did you hear about it?
Because I was just about to say I'm in the same group chat like the Dave Harris set up, like, so I could just easily contact him on WhatsApp and ask him about it, like.
Yeah, maybe do that. Maybe do that. Let's do that and see if we can get him
Josh,
on.
where's the tattoo, man?
Yeah, and if you do, and not even just that, but do get some video of getting it. You know, if he hasn't done it yet, let's do another tattoo story with Josh.
But he has his own channel, like, so, like, not a lot of excuses.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be part 2, right? The tattoo story part 2 with Josh. Hal Perry says you get the oils. He'd have beauty. Nice one. We got Aiden. Aiden is with us. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, Sander. I'm sorry, Milligan. I'm not sure if I'm mispronouncing that. I apologize for butchering your name if I've done that. Aaron's with us as well. What's up, Dove? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, mate. Seb Shaw's with us. Joe 27. Sorry, I'm going through these quick, folks. There's a lot of folks here, and I want to get through it and get to some chat. So, Res 9000 as well. Big up, Seb. Aaron.
Big up, Res. Okay, so everybody. I'll give a big shout out for big shout for Res because he's been at the protest with me. He's partially outside.
Nice.
He also came out for the Indian for my goodbye. Do you know what? Been on a couple of streams with him, but literally I got to spend a lot of time with him whilst I was in England, and honestly, it was a total and utter pleasure.
Nice. That's fantastic. Yeah, I think we've gotten through everybody who's here. Fantastic. Thanks for everybody in the comments. Thanks for being here. Welcoming Brian back, and then of course having Adam back on the show as well. We're going to talk some Spurs here. We're going to talk a little bit about Antonio Conte and his first 7 days. It's been 7 days. It feels like it's been like a month, you know, because everything's so quick, right? Adam, I'll go to you first. His first 7 days, he's managed 2 games, and of course the Spurs unrealistic expectations we have for management and for our players. What have your thoughts been on just the feeling, just your own feeling? Like, you don't even have to get into details or specifics of tactics or anything like that, but what is your feeling around the club now for yourself and like watching the games? Are you enjoying it again?
I can just think of 2 words to describe like the way the club is like feeling, or the atmosphere around the club, and that's hope and excitement. Conte, like, we all know what he can do. Like, we all know like the records he's set and the amount of trophies he's won. Like I mean, it's similar to Mourinho, but like even when Jose came, I didn't feel that much hope. Like, and then just how much of a divisive figure he was. Like with Conte, all I'm feeling is like just hope that we can like drive forward at a huge pace. Like. Yeah, I mean, this guy can surely like win us at least 1 trophy, like if all goes well and if he's properly backed. Yeah. I've said like a million times in the chats, like, and I'm like a broken record at this stage, but I mean it's true. Like, Conte is a fantastic manager, like, and like he can play tactics like that. In my opinion, I think like can fit into the Tottenham DNA because like it's attacking football. Yeah. So
it's funny though because there's a lot of comparison. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's a lot of comparison that happens with he's another Jose because he's sort of like he plays this sort of 3 at the back and it's defensive. He's just not that at all, and it's just the misconceptions and I guess there's fear in Spurs fans as well that we're going to end up kind of in the same place we ended up at the end with Jose. But I always felt we knew as fans that it would end poorly with Jose. I don't feel that with Conte myself. I feel like it's going to end well for the fans. You know, maybe the club might have issues, but the fans are going to like him. You know, he's going to succeed for us. And I think that's what he is, what's different about him and about what it is about Jose. Jose is kind of selfish and sort of does things for himself, you know, and it's not the best. I'm buzzing. I feel like, it's a wonderful moment. Brian, your thoughts just on that first 7 days, feeling around the club. What's your vibe like at the moment?
So do you know what? I can tell you now, I'm never ever going to get bored of looking at your green screen.
I know, right?
Never. It's just like
great, beautiful man.
Honestly, it's still. I'm still looking at this. When you digest what's actually happened this week or within that week,
you know what it is? It's the kit, right? It's like you could see the little Spurs logo on the jacket there, and you're like, "What is going on?"
Is this happening?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's what it's been. It's just crazy to think. Right, when it's an international break, and you sit down now and you look now. These teams are nowhere near the standard that we are. But you look at Aston Villa and Norwich that have gone and lost their manager this week or sacked their manager. Not that they were ever anywhere near it, but you just go to see they're pulling the trigger when there aren't that many managers available. There may be managers available to come in, like you got your Frank Lampard's being linked with them or whatever, but there had to be someone better for them to move. Now, with us, it was a case of pulling the trigger before United did. Kind of like what we did. Kind of like what we did when it came to there was that whole rumor around Jose that could it be Spurs, could it be Arsenal? When Poch was there and Emery was there, and it was like Spurs pulled the trigger to make sure the one so-called elite manager that was there came to us, and we did it again, and we pulled the trigger, and we got it. It's still a dream. And listen, it's big news for us. And the difference is, I mean, you look at Jose now at Roma; he's causing trouble at Roma already.
Yeah. He's going to be out. He's going to be out at the same time, just before Christmas. He's going to be.
That's the thing. There's big things with Jose, and it just goes to show Jose comes in, spends hundreds of millions. He spent over 100 million at Roma this summer, tries to win things, but ultimately turns everything toxic within the club, within the fan base, within the board, within the players, and leaves it with a trade like a typhoon has just come in and just literally wiped everything down. And then you look at Conte now. When he's left his teams, Chelsea, he left because Roman Abramovich wasn't going to back him, and there was stuff going on there. So he's like, do you know what? I'm gone. With Inter, again, I'm going to have to sell your best players. Okay, you do that. Gone. And this is what Conte does. Conte builds people up. And when he does leave, I wouldn't say he leaves a trail of devastation like Jose, where the club's a complete mess. They just need to get another manager. But you've seen the comments coming in from people like John Terry and Fabregas and everyone saying what this guy is going, Tottenham mean business, this dude. And just like when I was watching the welcome video from him, that 2-minute video to welcome him, you just hung on every word he said. Absolutely every word he said, you're like, first of all, you're smiling ear to ear because you're like, that's Antonio Conte. And it's just unbelievable. I mean, obviously, the two games, I mean, that game on Thursday had everything except the penalty. That was just craziness, that Thursday game. I mean, we'll talk about Everton in a lot more detail, obviously. But it wasn't the greatest of performance. There was a clean sheet. It was our first draw of the season. And as you said, some of the passages of play were there. But to wrap it up in a week, I mean, Antonio Conte has now got, and I've said this before, I think it's a bigger 2 weeks for the people that aren't on international duty than the players that have gone, because he's going to be able to study them non-stop around the clock and really, A, build up their fitness, B, have a real think, look at, right, does this guy fit into my style or my plan, and really get a foundation for where we're going to go.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about that international break, and that's a good segue to do it now. So, what's interesting, I read an article in Football London today, and essentially, there's going to be very specific training sessions for the folks who've stayed back, who are aren't on international duty, and they're going to get walloped to some extent, right? It's going to get it's in a good way. Adam, I hear a bit in the background. I think that might be you. Could you maybe just check if
I think it's just my dad and my brother trying to do homework, to be honest. If you're hearing voices,
there was voices, but there was a lot of noise, and now the noise is gone when you speak. So maybe when you're not talking,
that's about
when
I'm not talking, I'll just mute it.
Yeah, mute mic. That'd be fantastic.
No problem at all.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. So about the training session. So I don't know if you guys read this. So essentially, what he's done is he's put together a specific training session for, I think there's 15 players who are going away on international duty. For each one of them, it's additional training to what they're doing for their country. So he's like, this is the kind of detail this guy's doing. He's like literally going, all right, you guys are all going away. You're going to do more because you're not with me, because I'm going to do all this while the people are here. That's the kind of detail. It's impressive, right? Like if you're looking at what you would want to see from a manager, the players must be just freaking out a little bit and going like, I mean, some of them are scared because they don't know if they can handle it, and the ones who know they can are buzzing, like they're just ready for it. Adam, have you what are your thoughts on that? Do you think those training sessions are enough to sort of get us kind of playing the way we want to play? Because I've seen hints of it, right? We've seen hints of it in the 2 games he's managed. There's a little bit more one-touch passing. There's a little bit more creation. Of course, not in the final third yet, but that, I think the midfield in particular, I've noticed. What are your thoughts on the training sessions and what you're seeing from Conte and the players' reaction to it?
Like, they have to be improving the squad, like with the amount he wants to do with them. Like, I mean, they're going to be honest, like, I don't know what our next game is. I can't remember, but like I wouldn't be surprised if one of them just like collapsed, like just out of sheer exhaustion in the middle of the game. Like,
funny thing is, Adam, it's Leeds, and we know Leeds are that type of team too. So
exactly,
it's like building.
But they can be opened up defensively as well. Like, and I think Conte can train them to do that well. Like, those players that aren't going on the international break, like, he's just going to work and focus on them, like a freaking, I don't know, like a mammal with his prey, or whatever the hell the phrase goes. Like, like he's just going to work them ragged. Like, that they're going to be knackered by this weekend. Like, they're going to be falling into bed like almost every night when they go home from training. But like, hopefully, like, in a good way, they'll learn to respect Conte's tactics, and they'll look at him and like, hey, this guy wants to actually take us to that level where we can be competitive and start winning trophies again. And if their egos don't get in the way, like, then they'll learn to respect it rather than loathe it. Like, I mean, they're there to work. Like, that's what they're paid the big wages for.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's it, right? Like, there's been a lot of players, and Brian, I'll get you to the same question from you, but there's been a lot of players who've been riding the pine to some extent. They're sitting on the bench, they're making the money, they're getting their weekly wage of ridiculous amounts of money, and not really earning it, and that's never going to happen under Conte. And those players that, if they're not there, if they can't do the things he wants them to do from a quality perspective or from a fitness perspective, they won't play for Spurs. He just he'll pick other players, he'll buy other players, and that's where the sort of the need for him to have that ability to say, this player isn't good enough, or these players aren't good enough for this position, we need to buy here. Brian, what are your thoughts on the training regimen and what we're seeing so far?
So I'll go kind of backwards. I'll start with what you were saying about the players that aren't up to scratch and make my way back up to training. Now, I think we know a few players that are going to get found out in training. Let's face it. I'm not going to start mentioning players' names, but what it comes down to here is, if he identifies the players that he wants out to raise money, is if he's allowed to sell them for the money that he wants, not the money that someone has set way above market value. This isn't like a house when you price someone at like 50 million, but you want it to go for 20. He's got to be able to. None of these long, drawn-out scenarios where it takes all transfer window. Antonio Conte will establish the players he wants, establish the players he doesn't, and he'll want to get rid of and bring in the players he wants very quickly. Very quickly. None of this messing about. So that's the huge part. Yes, he can. This 2 weeks he'll identify, and the coming weeks up until January, he'll identify who he wants out. He'll identify immediately who he wants out and what the value that he would probably say, yep, take this for him, because I'm going to put this money towards. So it's about speculating to accumulate kind of thing with it. Now, obviously, when it comes to training, I saw today as well that I think it might have been Ali Gold that was saying that it's going to consist a lot of double training sessions this international break, and he's got 3 of those coaches are just on conditioning. 3 of those coaches specialists.
Yeah, the list of coaches is absurd. It's so cool.
And Dembele has his own special fitness coach. Like,
yeah,
like, what do you think of that? Like,
yeah.
Well,
yeah,
that's
amazing.
Dembele, and I think with it, he's wanted Dembele before.
He has, yeah.
And I think he's seen, when we go onto the game, like the lack of creativity we had on Sunday was simply shocking. And he'll identify us. But now, what you got to remember is, Antonio Conte's come in, and yes, he is this elite manager, but that does not mean that he comes in, waves his magic wand, we start playing the best football, and all of a sudden start rocking. This is going to take a little bit of time.
It is. I think the patience is going to be key, right? I think as
that's
fans,
what
we have to chill out a little bit. I mean, for me, passage of play and just the one-touch football and the quickness of thought and movement is something that like we haven't seen that in 2 years. You know, like the last time we saw that was probably under Poch, when we were good under Poch,
Yep.
which is even longer than that. It's almost 3 years ago. The movement from the back to the front, and of course the issue that we're having is we're missing that 10. We're missing that Christian Eriksen situation where there's that final ball that is going to get into those players when you're moving that quickly, because you have to be able to have a really particular vision and quality to be able to hit those balls in the right areas, in the right moments, the right time when the transition is moving that quickly. And that's a really hard thing to do. And that's what I think Christian Eriksen, despite how things finished with him, that's what he did so well and wasn't necessarily maybe given enough credit, or still isn't given enough credit for, because that is what we've missed since he's been gone. We haven't had it. Dele Alli hasn't had it. And he's like, probably the only reason he was ever good was because of Christian Eriksen, because he was able to see those passes and those runs into the box. And we that transition, once we get to that part, is missing now. Sorry, Brian, I kind of went on a bit of a rant there, but I had to get that out of
mate. You know, it's refreshing to hear someone else going on a rant rather than me. That's kind of refreshing, brother.
The rants were back on like Bob's Spurs or Bob's stream the last time I saw, or was it Tommy's stream?
It's been a while since Brian's got on a proper.
Oh no, I went on a huge rant. I went
legendary, like
on our channel.
I went on a huge rant on Spurs. I went on a huge rant, and then Danny popped on and I started screaming Danny Kyriakis song, like literally screaming it, then carried on with my rant.
Damn, I wish I was watching. Damn.
Oh mate, I'll send it to you. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, do it up. But yeah, it's the passages of play, and I think that's the thing that I've noticed the most so quickly. It's those little details when you play under managers that are so pragmatic, like a Mourinho and like a Nuno. Those managers didn't really. You could see the difference in what's happening very quickly, and I'm impressed by that. I'm shocked at how quickly that happened, and maybe that's because I'm a little biased. I'm paying more attention to those transitions than I normally would. But that's been a focus. I was just like, what are they doing? How quickly the one-touch football? There was like 4 or 5 times in the Everton game, instead of the slow receive the ball, spin, turn, pass it sideways, pass it backwards, slowly move up the pitch. It was one touch, one touch, one touch, one touch. Now they didn't always come off. Sometimes the one touch didn't work. Sometimes it was misplaced. You know, that happens. But getting used to that and starting to see that, that's what I'm excited about, because that's attacking football, despite playing 3 at the back. What have you made, Adam, so far? And I'm not specific detail, but what have you made so far of the formation, the sort of difference in what we've seen from Nuno and Mourinho to what you're seeing now? Have you noticed the difference? Have you enjoyed that sort of the thing I'm talking about?
Like I've obviously enjoyed it more, like, but like at this point watching paint dry, I was getting like more enjoyed out of that. Like,
everything's better than what we were watching.
As much as I felt even a bit sorry for Uno, like it was just so bad. Like under Conte, you can see at least what he wants to do, like, and the players are actually starting to be more active, like more quick. They want to get off the pitch, like, and create something, even if they can't get a shot on target. And they're like Conte even said this himself, like their final pass or their final,
didn't
like their final something
third,
anyway was like
something in the
final third,
yeah. Then the final third, it's not working yet, but we'll get there. Yeah.
Notice actually, Brian, when you were saying even those 4 or 5 times, like where we did seem to play like fast as pace football, like when we were going up forward, all the Everton defenders had to do was stick out a leg and then bang, they have the ball back. So like we have to improve massively on that. Like we have to get the chemistry back.
That's a massive one.
The attacking, like I think we have to get in.
And I think
Pele back there. That might be a controversial opinion, but like I think if he can be trained to work well with Kane and Son, like, and if Kane somehow isn't dropped up, like I think like there's something there, like.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tanguy is going to be massive. That was another report, and of course, reports you hear, and you're not sure how true reports are in papers and whatnot. But there was a report specifically. Yeah, exactly, and you gotta check the source. But that he had said, Conte had said to Tanguy, you're going to be a very important player in how I want to play. And I'm going to specifically, and we talked about that a minute ago, that he's being trained. He's got a specific, I don't know who it is and how it's working, but he's being focused on in a way that hopefully we can get the best out of him. He is our most creative player currently that we could potentially put in that Christian Eriksen position, that could, because you can see sometimes I've seen some of the through balls. You're just like, whoa, he just really picked a pass there. The right way to pass, the right, like down through a lane that maybe you didn't see necessarily, and the player can run onto it. Those are the types of things that we need to start to see in that final third to actually cut cut teams open. We saw it against Vitesse because it was Vitesse, so you could see that we're capable of it, right? And against more difficult opponents, yet we're not fast enough yet. So we're in the quality passes aren't there yet, but it's been impressive. I've really enjoyed that. Anything to add, Brian, on that topic?
Yeah, I am gonna. I said, and when we're talking about the game, I'm gonna. You thought you were being controversial. I'm gonna be very controversial. I think Kane and Son were absolutely fucking appalling. Absolutely fucking appalling. And I will come out and say, listen.
Hey, I can't really argue against that. Like, I can't argue. I don't have an argument.
Kane and Son come in for a lot of credit because of obviously what they do, and they are phenomenal. They are absolutely outstanding. But somehow we kept a clean sheet, and we had Dyer and Davies in defence, and they hardly get any credit for what they did. They did their job. They did their job. They kept a clean sheet. Okay, Ben Davies going forward isn't the best in the world. We all know that. He's
got himself in good positions, though. He's not been horrible.
He gets himself in the positions, but his passing, he's not like a Reguilon who had an absolute shocker, by the way.
Yeah.
But he's always committed. He always gives 100%. Now, Kane and Son, if I was to tell you right now, we're here in the middle or beginning of November, Son has 2 Premier League goals, Kane has 1, and we've had 4 games, or we're now gone 5 halves of football without a shot on target, 3 games without a shot on target. That's not the defence's fault who keep coming in for goddamn criticism. It's those two.
I just want to chime in here, Brian. Maybe this is controversial to you, and you can argue back. And Adam, you got a thought on it as well. I think this goes to what I was just saying. I don't think it's necessarily Kane and Son's fault. I think what we're seeing is Conte's trying to develop a system within the squad. And there's key players missing to get that transition, to get those balls into those lanes and those spaces where Kane and Son are going to run onto it, or develop something creatively, or hold the ball up where so the wingbacks can get forward. They don't exist yet. I think that's just what's missing. You don't have a 10. You don't have a player who's creative enough to get them in those positions. They look a little bit lost because they are. The system currently, without the players, or without knowing how the system's going to work necessarily moving forward, they're still figuring it out. I think they will, and I think that they'll come good. Yeah, but I agree. They weren't good in the situation, but I don't think that they still didn't get any service either.
But that's the thing. But that's correct. But when we're talking about 2, and let's face it, those 2 are world class. There's no.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no doubt.
To not muster a shot on target in 5 consecutive halves of football. I'm sorry, it doesn't even matter about the goddamn creativity and the passes. Yeah. Harry Kane drops deep, and 9 times out of 10 has about 3 shots outside the box every game.
And his shooting has been piss poor too. Like, let's be honest, right?
He's using his positioning all the.
Yeah, he's off. He's off. His form is not where.
Don't get me wrong. The main problem is the creativity. The creativity is definitely the hugest issue. But you can't say we've kept our first clean sheet. Defending looks a lot tighter than it has done last couple of, without a doubt. But if I was to say to you at the beginning of the season, I bet you 5 halves consecutively in football, Harry Kane and Heung-min Son will both be on the pitch, and not one of them, or the whole team, will not have 1 shot on target. Can you imagine the odds if you went to the bookies and said, I want to bet that Son or the whole of Tottenham, let alone Son and Kane, will go 5 consecutive halves of football without a shot on target?
Yeah, it's shocking, right? Like you're talking about the most prolific striker last season and prolific assist maker last season,
and the most deadliest duo in the Premier League.
Yeah, dangerous duo in history, and now this is what's happening. So yeah,
exactly.
Brian, if you went,
go ahead, Adam.
Yeah,
please.
Brian, if you went to the bookies and betted that, you would be a goddamn millionaire at this stage,
Yeah, nobody expected this at all, right?
Yes, if someone went back in time now, and I'm being very hypothetical here, if they went back in time and told me in the shit show we were in the summer, that we'd go, or towards the start of the season as well, we'd go 5 consecutive halves without a shot on target, I would have blown them out of the room. I would have said, nah, you're just
There's no way that's going to happen, right? That would have
been. Good point from Johnny Einstein there, saying they're trying too hard. Kane, I completely believe is. Because he's taking loads and loads and loads of extra touches.
I think he's struggling with what happened in the summer and then trying to get himself back to it. But now Conte's come in, and now he has to deal with the fact that, oh, the club are showing the ambition that I hope they would. I now have to get my head around this and rethink sort of my situation, which is good. It's not going to happen right away, right? The expectation, of course, is that we got a clean sheet. We looked better with transitioning from defense to the midfield. I still think that player, that 10 and that creative player, we're missing considerably. And then, of course, you've got Kane, who went through what he went through in the summer. Love him or hate him for it. And then, of course, Sonny, and that his relationship with Kane probably suffered considerably because of that as well. So they now have to kind of reset, and that takes more than a game or two. And especially when you got a manager like Conte, who's now come in and who's going to essentially fix that, and that's going to take a bit, right? It's going to take 3 or 4 games. I think we'll get through Christmas. By the end of Christmas, we'll be flying. I really think that. I really think we'll just start to hit the ground running, because they'll get the system, and the fitness will go through the roof because of the training that they're going to be doing. So we saw it under Poch when that happened, when the players started to get trained properly, and all of a sudden it was the press was on. And when you get the press on and everybody's boom, 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 and firing all at the same time, and it's a fluid, dynamic 11 that are knowing where they're moving and who's doing what and what their jobs are. And I think that's been missing from this team. Other than last season in the first, up until November when we were finished, or we were sitting top of the league. The reason for that was because Jose was like, I don't have any players. I've just got Kane and Son. Give them the ball. And that was the reason they did as well as they did for that short period of time. And then people figured it out, but they managed to break the record by then, or get close to it. So, it's going to be a little bit of time. And I'm hoping that those attitudes change and those ideas of what they're seeing change. But yeah, Brian, if you feel like you want to add something.
No. I mean, the thing we've got to discuss as well is, like I said, I'm sure we were going to talk about anyways, formation. Obviously, we know it's 3 at the back. That's the standard, isn't it? Yeah, that's the foundation. That's
3-4-3.
I know that's
that's the foundation. It's whether he goes 3-4-3, which again, like I said, when we're playing 4-3-3, Harry Kane does not work in a 3. Period. I don't care if you put Mbappe or Ronaldo either side of him. Harry Kane does not work in the centre of a front of 3.
I agree.
He needs to be either 3-5-2, which then something we can discuss as well is the Højbjerg, Skip. Do they belong together or whatever? Because with the 3-5-2, I think it gives you the flexibility of the big defensive games. Obviously, what's up, brother? With the more attacking teams or games we need to attack, obviously we can play one of Højbjerg and Skip and the Celso or whoever. And the more defensive, we can play Skip and Højbjerg and let go. But they're also talking about 3-4-1-2, which is where Delhi comes into play, and where Delhi,
potentially,
who I still don't want there because of how he's been and his attitude. But this is the thing. I don't think we all know it's the 3 at the back. We know point blank, and I'm happy because we look better with 3 at the back, especially with Romero in there. It allows one more to go forward. I don't think the 3-4-3 with Harry Kane playing, and I do believe that he is going to come back. I do believe that after the international break, he will be a lot more. The team will be adapted a lot more to suit Harry Kane's style of play. But I don't think 3-4-3 is the formation. I think it is.
I think what Scott's saying, and if you look at the comment that's up right now, I think that's spot on. 100%. And you could do it at 3-5-1-1 if you wanted, just depending on who's playing off who.
Yeah.
And of
with
course,
the 3, with the 5, there's room for the players like Skip and Højbjerg, but there's also room for creative players, especially if we invested them in January. You can stick them there, and then bang.
And it depends, Adam, who we're playing too, right? So, like Brian said, if we're playing a team that we want to get on the front foot, you put Skip or Højbjerg at the base of that, and you put 2 creative midfielders in front of it. Whether it's Dele and Tanguy as an example, or Tanguy and Lo Celso also as an example. We don't need to get into Lo Celso per se.
Or that corner.
Frustrated.
Yeah. The corner just is the sort of the peak of it. But
of all the corners in the ground to take that corner, it had to be right by the Spurs fans, by it.
Yeah, I've seen videos on Twitter,
Oh, that's bad.
When he stopped to take the first one, he stopped, and I was like, Honestly, when you saw that corner, I
want to just be a little bit friendly to him. I get it; he's a professional. This should never happen. But when you're about to take a corner, and because I used to take corners for my team, the ball roll, and if it's windy, right, the ball rolls slightly off that spot, and you put it back, and you know you got to go quick, and then he goes to like maybe take a short pass, and then doesn't. Yet and then you got to run up that little hill and take it. He did a bunch of stuff to make it way worse than it should have been, but it was atrocious. He's a professional and he gets paid thousands of dollars a week. Yeah. It should never happen, but I get it.
Joe, I reckon, exactly, to some extent. But Joe, I reckon he was thinking, everyone expects me now out to like do it properly and put it actually over, like and chip it over into the box. I won't do that now. They'll never see this coming now. I'm going to just hit it on the ground.
I don't think that's what happened.
He was right.
I think he just shanked it, Adam. I think he didn't see it coming on the way.
I'm obviously joking, but I mean, he was right. If that's the case, though, he was right. We didn't see that level of shit coming,
Yeah, it was pretty bad. That was one of the worst corners I think I've ever seen in professional football. And that we had Eriksson taking corners for a number of years, and that doesn't help. I want to talk a little bit about Oliver Skip. And I just this kid is fucking awesome. Like he has gotten better under Conte in 7 days. Like and it just seems to me like he's like going to be molded under the perfect coach and be one of our better players. He already has been, even under Nuno. He was one of our better players. Brian, what are your thoughts on Oliver Skip and what we've seen in the 2 games under Conte? It's something. He even looks even more invigorated and even better. His passing has improved in a couple of games and he just looks like he's got a bit more vision and he's a bit quicker. What do you think?
Yes, first of all, I'm just going to pick up everyone in the chat. The chat's going crazy. Sorry,
it's going crazy. Yeah, we're trying to keep
up. Obviously, I haven't got my glasses on, and it's very small for me here. I will be getting.
I'm working on it. When I ramble too long, I lose the.
So yeah, so we will get back. But I've just seen Kim B in the chat, and also Tottenham Tad from Dermot. So I just want to say big up to them.
Big up Dermot, man. Big up Dermot.
And Chris and everyone in that chat. But yeah, Oliver Skip. So. This kid's phenomenal. I've been saying for the last few weeks, there's so much pressure on this dude. We got to see how vital he was when he didn't start against Arsenal and Chelsea, which were our biggest or the worst performances, excluding the Man U one. Oh, and Chelsea. I think I said Chelsea anyway. But we've seen how big he potentially is. The loan move last season done him the world of good, like the absolute world of good. Like Jose said one thing, he's the Tottenham captain. And he was bang on the money with this one. Bang on the money. And for Jose to come out and say this about a youth guy when we all know he doesn't really blood you through was a huge statement. Now, what you have got with him is pure potential that's growing and growing and growing. But I feel very, do you know what? And I hate that I'm about to say this. I feel very, very worried for Pierre. And Pierre is my favourite player. I am so worried.
I honestly think
I'm the very same. Yeah.
I think in the new system he's going to struggle to get in.
I think he might be like we're going to see. Look, the thing about with Skip, obviously he's got suspension, so he's out for the Leeds game. He is out, so Conte can't play those two. Obviously, so it may be a more attacking. Well, it has to be more attacking because there's not really unless he goes Winksy. But let's try and avoid that route. But yeah, Skip is honestly one for the future. He is. I think Conte's going to love him. How can you not? And he's impressed me. For me, he's been our best player this season so far, hands down, without even a second thought. He's been suspended. I think he was on 4 yellow cards for a while. So the fact that
he's going to miss the Leeds game, which is going to be difficult to.
Well, you know what? I said at the beginning of the season, I said it first on Boss Spurs TV's show, but I said, you know what, Leeds, when we're talking about relegation, I said, I think Leeds are going to suffer with second season syndrome.
Yeah, I've been saying that on the North End.
And they really, really have started that way. And do you know what? If you want to try a new attacking formation, there is no better team to play at home than Leeds because Leeds just come at you.
Yeah,
Leeds
open.
Exactly. And like Bielsa, kind of like with Poch, he won't change. It doesn't matter. You can be winning 3-0. Okay, carry on. There's no... So it's a huge game for Højbjerg. Huge. But I'm worried about him. But Oliver Skip, I just think the last couple of games, he's just shown class. I mean, all season he has. He's just... That's why I call him Benjamin Button. He's mature above his age. He's just... We are very, very lucky to have had him. And we're very, very lucky to have held on to him, because obviously the youth team and everyone have heard the reports and stuck by him and stuck by him and stuck by him. And he could have been one of these guys that we sent out on like 4 loans before we gave him a chance. And we've given him that opportunity. So I think there's a lot more to come from Skippy. And I'm just going to turn my camera off while I go for a cigarette, but I'm still with you.
All right. Cheers, Brian.
I'm still with you.
Fair enough, man.
Yeah. Adam, your thoughts on Skip so far this season? And just, you know, obviously, like Brian said, I agree with him. I do think he's been arguably our best player, one of the best players, but he does, like, even just in that short, you know, span of 2 games that we've seen him play, he looks like he just upped his game even a touch more. What are your thoughts on him so far?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you hit the nail on the head there. Like, I think he's been just absolutely unreal this season. Like, for such a young player, like, I mean, he's around my age, like, and he's just commanding that midfield. Like, I mean, he makes like a few little errors, like, but that's just out of inexperience. Like, like,
I mean, I think at this level, right? Like, if you're put into that situation, he's thriving. He's thriving in a difficult situation. He looks
can you imagine what he'd be like in 5 years' time? Like, he does look a lot better than a lot of our team, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean, stick someone like Ali in that midfield, like, and Skip will just boss him around, like.
And I think Skip, future captain. I think under Conte is going to show him like levels, right? Like, you want to take a player who's developing really well, who was our best player under Nuno. And one of her, you know, like to say that in itself is you know, there's not a lot there, but still, like, he looked good. You know, he was a good player. He looked good. He looked like he was the one who was, you know, you're going to get something out of defensively and controlling the midfield and understanding what passages of play need to happen. And you just have this, like, this escalation of quality and management that's going to show this young player who's already got the football brain that you need to really go to that next level. Where do you think Conte can get Skip? Like, is Skip? Do you see Skip as the future captain for Spurs, and is he going to be absolutely key when, you know, January transfer window comes in? Are we going to bring in other players that replace Skip, or is Skip going to be one of the highlights, and then we bring in players to play around him?
Well, you asked 2 questions there, so I'm just
I did. Sorry.
Say yes and no. I know you're fine. Like, it's your show, man. He can definitely be future captain. Like, I mean, Lloris won't be around forever. Like, though I hope he lasts for at least another year or so. Like, because he showed, like, against even Vitesse, like, just how great he is. Like, but anyway, Skip, back to him. Like, so, oh god, yeah, he can be future captain. But, like, even if we do bring in players in January, I think there's still a chance for him to, like, get into the team. Like, I don't see why he can't, like, with the performances he's been putting in lately. Like, you can,
I think from a fitness perspective too. So I was just going to say, to add to that, from a fitness perspective as well, when you got a young player like him, he's 20 years old, I think. You're that young, and you need to play at a high level from a fitness perspective. It's going to be easy for him compared to some of the other players. We look at the regiment that Poch had with all the young players previously. He was able to do that when they were young. Much younger, because you can mold them, first of all, mentally mold them, but physically they're more capable of doing those double training sessions, right? So Skip is going to stand out fitness wise, but also from a quality perspective, he's a very good player. We're going to see that improvement from him, you know, just from a physical level. And I think we saw that his ability to turn quickly and see a pass. He's, you know, somebody mentioned Winks here a minute ago. I think it was Paul Brown. I'll just bring up this comment. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but Winks has shown up and improved under Conte's training regime as also. I think that Winks will become a better player, but I still don't think Winks has a place at the club anymore. I think he should. You can't get worse. No. It's true. You can't get worse. But there's and that's the thing, that if you look at the difference between Winks and Skip and just the footballing brain that's on these, it's 2 different players. And, you know, Winks had it until he got that injury, in which we all know we don't need to get into a Winks conversation, but I don't know that he'll ever get it back. So anything to add on Skippy that you would want to talk about, Brian? If you were listening to our chat.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when it comes to it, obviously, we've got to remember how young he is. Obviously, like I said, there was so much pressure put on him at the start, because he was getting all these rave reviews. Obviously, he's been made England under 19, England under 21 captain.
He needs to get England first team for me.
I saw. I mean, Aaron Ramsdale from Arsenal, whether we like him or hate him,
Smith Rowe got called up for this.
He's been called up. Smith Rowe, again, who deservedly, there's no doubt about it, he deservedly deserve. Yeah, that word I'm trying to say, but everyone knows what I'm trying to say. Has got in. I think it was a little bit too soon for him this time, but the good thing is there's a big gap between the next international breaks. There's not another one till 2022.
Yeah.
So I think in the next one, if he carries on, he's there. I mean, I personally think he's a long shot for and a real good odds to or a good shout to try and get into the World Cup squad. He's on the right track, and I think working under a player like Conte, and we've seen what he can do with players. He's going to be a huge beneficiary of him. And like I said, the main concern I'm worried about when we talk about Skip, we've got to talk about his partners. Like I said, I'm just very concerned for Pierre, and I love that dude. But what we got to look at as a whole now is there's certain players we all have attachments to and love for whatever reason that may be.
We got to let go.
And we're now at a time where we've got to stop having sentiment like, oh my God, he's been such a great servant, or he's done this. It's like, if you can get an upgrade, you upgrade. It's simple as that. It's like, if you'd gone to any football team in the world, barring Chelsea, Man City, and Liverpool, and said, right now, I can give you Antonio Conte, he signs for you right now, no issues, whatever. Every single team around world football would say we sack our manager because it's an upgrade. And that's what we have to do with our players. And like, there's talks of Kessie and all these wonderful players that we've been linked with, which now have, beforehand, it was just hot air and oh, here we go again. Whereas now, at least there's some, whether it happens or not, it's down to you know who. But every single rumour now has substance because everyone wants to come and play.
It's actually possible, right? That's where we are.
Exactly. And the thing is, if we get the chance to upgrade, we have to upgrade. And as much as I love Pierre, and I love him dearly, he's my favourite player. I think I saw the rumours come out that he's one of the players that may be not on the wanted list by Conte.
Yeah, I think he could be on as early as January.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. But I don't know how much I believe that. And of course, again, sources and whatnot. But what I would think if Conte wants to play a certain system, if you could have Skip and Højbjerg as your two that is depth in a midfield, where you could rest a player and the other player could come in and do a job, and vice versa, depending on who you're playing against, depending on how far, depending on the form they were in, depending if one of them gets injured. That's a pretty solid. That's a pretty solid fix right there that, is going to sit in that spot, do the job that they need to do, and make sure that they clean up everybody else. And yeah, there's a bit more qualities in Skip, I think, when it comes to going forward. He's a bit more, his passing and his brain, his football brain is a bit better. But Højbjerg is not much. I mean, I think Højbjerg overall is a from an experience perspective, a better football player currently than Skip is, but Skip will be better than Højbjerg by far, like once he gets coached. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
What you got to look at is attitude and mentality. Yeah, Højbjerg is every single thing Conte ever wants in a footballer. There is no, and pretty much.
You could argue Skip has that as well too.
But why?
Maybe not because the experience isn't there yet. Because Højbjerg's been through it. Højbjerg has been through it. He's been in the trenches. He's gone through.
Yeah, but Højbjerg will go up to a player like you saw in that interview before Nuno was said, like, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to say. Højbjerg will tell it how it is. Højbjerg will go in there and accuse people and you've seen how
he calls them out. Yeah, he calls them out. And you need that. You need that in a dressing room. It's like John Terry did that, at Chelsea. There's players that do that coming like, you can't do this anymore. You're shit and you're making us shit. So stop doing it. Stop being shit.
He's a leader.
Yeah, exactly.
He should be the captain.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. Brian and I've talked about it as well. As like he is captain material. But having said that, we have to lose our sort of bias for players we love. Before this comment goes off the screen, I want to bring it up from Bryce.
Exactly, I was thinking about that. Mention this now. This is a good point.
Yeah, and I'll get your thoughts on this first, then, Adam. What does it mean for Brian Hill? Does he end up in a right back position? Does he play left back? Is he a 10 that could just be molded over time? From my understanding, that he was bought as a player for the future, and I know that that's kind of maybe not where we're at when you bring in Antonio Conte. That changes a little bit because you're like, oh, now we have a manager that's for the now, and like, what players do we need? What players do we need to get rid of? What are your thoughts, Adam? Do you think Brian Hill has a place in the team? And if we're talking about like that three at the back with it, whether it's 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, hopefully it's 3-5-2. Where do you think Hill fits into that?
Well, yeah, I'm like True Blue. I'm concerned, Andre, like for where this leads him, because like I thought we bought him in like to be like a number 10 in like and to help out in that role. I wouldn't like to see him at a right back or left back role, to be honest, because I think he's there for the creativeness, and to help out,
right? Yeah,
and we're there to mold him into a much better player, because he has just so much potential. He's like Royale in a way, except in my opinion, just a bit better, and yeah. So I hope there's a place for him in Conte's team. But again, if he plays with that 3-5-2 formation, he could maybe fit in as one of the five. If Conte wants to play more than one creative midfielder, which
it depends on who we're playing, right? Forward. Sometimes you play certain teams
like you said earlier, yeah.
We need two attacking, two attacking midfielders rather than the one.
And also, I'm like Brian. Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to drop him. I'm like Brian Daigle. I'm sick and tired of us buying players for the future. We've been buying players for the future since 2019. The future is now and we're look where we are.
Especially when you bring in Antonio Conte. I mean, we know how long he manages clubs for. We have him arguably for the longest period of time is it's going to be 2 years. If he decides to stay with us, and hopefully he transforms mentality and all these other ideas about how things are done, and we can keep Paratici, and he'll do the things that we that we need to do, whether it brings in the manager, the other players that come in to fit the system that he's created, because that's what he's brought in for. Brian Hill, does he fit into that? I don't know. I don't know if he does or not. I like him, but I don't think he's there yet. I do think it is going to take some time. Brad, what are your thoughts on this situation with Brian Hill? Do you see him fitting into anything that we've seen so far with the system that we have? Maybe you replace Mora with Brian Hill. If he's going to play a 3-4-3, because I think he would be maybe more creative and more energy and those types of things.
So the first thing about Antonio Conte, obviously we all think and know that he's a quick time, he's not here for long. But you know what? We said that about Pep with Man City. Everywhere he goes. But if you find a club, and I'm not saying this will happen at Tottenham because we know our chairman is and what he does, maybe he does stay beyond that time. But that's obviously hearsay and coulda, woulda, shoulda. This is why I get annoyed with buying for the future, because we buy for the future, but we keep changing managers. So how do you know what future he has? Because that's why you buy the ready-made players, because they fit right now for the manager you've got to get the best out of him. When you're a team like Arsenal or United who have a history, or Liverpool who have a history of keeping with managers for a long time, it's okay buying for the future, but because they also buy for the now and they give their manager time. Whereas obviously we never do. I mean, Poch was our longest serving manager in the Premier League era. And we kept buying for the future then. Now, Brian Hill, when we signed him, I didn't get the signing. I just didn't get it. There are other areas. We blatantly needed a centre attacking midfielder. We blatantly needed a second striker. We needed another centre back. But he's here. And what we've seen, he has a lot of potential. A lot of potential. We bought him, and the words of why we signed him was because he's a winger that likes to get to the byline and cross it in. That's what he was there for. Obviously, he does have the versatility. He can play anywhere across the pitch.
Brian, is that quickly an argument for him potentially playing a left wing back?
So this is the thing where I was coming to now. Obviously, we saw what he did against Adama Traore against Wolves. Now, if you're going to have a go at fullback or tracking back, and you want someone to see if you can mark a guy out of the game, he was the one that was single-handedly coming in with tackles and stopping Adama. But I think for him to be a wing back, he needs to get in the gym and bulk up. That's he's a young kid, and that's no fault of his own. He needs to, like Gareth Bale did, he needs to get in the gym, and that will come. He's still young, he's still developing as a man, so there's potential for that. But the great thing is, he can also play across the attacking. If we play a 3-5-2, he could be one of the creative. If we play a 10, he could be that 10.
Potentially, yeah.
To go and play it. But the reason that we signed him, obviously, was to get... I wouldn't say... I'm not so concerned about his future with the club as I am Pierre, because obviously there's a common problem here with the lack of creativity. I think Brian Hill can play as a left wing back, but obviously, hopefully one of these days, and hopefully, I mean, we can all pray and please God, Santa, I've been a good boy, but put this on the, give me this present, that Ryan Sessegnon can stay fitter for less than a day and a half, or more than a day and a half.
That's asking for a miracle, Brian. That's asking for a really, really big miracle.
Well, there, I'm trying. I mean, I'm not even Jewish, and I'm asking Father Christmas. So that just goes to show how much I'm.
Exactly.
That shows how much I'm praying. So he could be another answer, but Brian Hill, I think there is there are options for him, but to be a serious contender for a wing back, and I think he would be left wing back as opposed to right.
Yeah.
He needs to bulk up.
Yeah. And he will, I think that, you know.
He will. He's a man developing.
Yeah, they grow into themselves, right?
Exactly.
Right at that age. So, I just want to bring up a comment from Sander here. Did Conte spend 6 or 7 years at Juventus? Only left Chelsea and Inter. I actually think he spent 3 years at Juventus, and then left and won those 3 years. And
I think it's a lot longer. Let me just actually check.
I mean, I could be wrong, but he was there for a period of time, and it was probably one of his longer spells at a club. But he also played at Juventus and had an affinity with the club, so there was something different, I think, about that situation. And of course, yeah, he left Chelsea and Inter for different reasons, and you know, maybe the short term kind of idea isn't necessarily true. So, Sandra, it's a good point if that's the case, you know. If we can keep for 6 or 7 seasons, then I think we're going to do all right. You know, that's not going to be so bad. Yeah, it's the other. This is another one too that we haven't we haven't talked about Sessegnon very much. You know,
yeah, you're right, Brian. 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. So I thought he won the Scudetto 3 years in a row. Left to go manage Italy, and I think he was with Italy for a number of years. And you know,
2 years. Then Chelsea 2 years.
Then Chelsea 2 years, and then to
Milan 2 years.
Yeah. So yeah, so his longest stint was 3. So it just says that I do think it comes down to his demands, and his demands are very high, and not all clubs can meet them, and that's potentially an issue. But I you know, if he's back, this is the worry we have. You know, we have an ownership and a chairman and a board that don't necessarily or haven't had the history of backing managers properly. But having said that, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna try to change the perception of who you are and what people think of you, you know what Brian Daigle rants about. If you're gonna try to change that rant, and you want to bring in the right manager and change the culture around the club and what we want to become, this is the appointment. So you know,
this is the big point. This is the big point. It's now I'm not expecting us to spend hundreds of mil, 100 mil, whatever. This is the last. It's the last throw of the last dice of the last for like every single Spurs supporter. If Conte is not backed in January, forget the summer waiting. If he's not given a Kessie at 8.5 million to get him here before January, or he doesn't get a second striker or a creative midfielder, and I'm not just talking about let's get a creative midfielder for 3-4 million who we found and is one. It needs to be a ready-made. Okay, here you go. This is where Tottenham are going. If it's not done in January, I will see everyone in February because I will be back in London and I will be back opposite the Spurs shop.
New tattoo on the other arm.
I'm protesting. Yes,
I will be protesting once again. There is no if, buts, and maybes. I mean, the protests are still going on. This is. I think
right. I actually think if we don't back Conte properly, and that I think that's across the board, like fans who are on the fence, who are struggling with the idea of being Levy out. If you don't back one of the best managers in the world properly, you don't deserve to run anything.
And like, Spurs fans will know. Spurs fans will know if this is a Paratici and Conte signing, or if it's what we normally do.
It'll be obvious. And you know what? Conte will tell us. Conte will come out in an interview and be like, "Yeah, he didn't give me the players I wanted, prick." You know, like, that's how he is. He just doesn't care. He just doesn't care. He'll like point fingers at him.
Need to be done, not dragging, like, let's say we all know, and I'm going to bring up this guy because he's going to be mentioned the whole time, and for me is the number one, I don't care if it's just him kind of target, we have to go and get Vlahovic. Have to.
I agree. I think Vlahovic would be
not just a striker.
Vlahovic would be a statement signing.
100%, yeah.
And it's got to be one of those signings that don't just happen. It starts on January the 1st, and here we are, January the 28th, still haggling over whatever.
Yeah. The haggles can't happen.
Done, in, ready, let's go. Because people will clock on to what's going on.
Yeah,
people will know with Paratici's reach and Paratici's power within the transfer negotiations and what Conte wants. This won't be one that they'll want to drag out over a 2 million, a 3 million, especially with all the money that's coming to the club with training gear, shirts, league sponsors, the events that have been going on at the ground. So there's no negotiate. It's like, okay, he's not signing another contract. We want 70 million. There you go, 70 million. Bang, done. Bye, see ya. On to the next one. Because if this doesn't happen, it's going to start something rolling again. Like I said, Levy out people aren't going anywhere. People are like, oh, have you stopped protesting now? Well, no.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Brian. The appointment of Antonio Conte has put Levy in his own worst position possible, because if he doesn't back him, it's obvious, and everybody who was doubting and was worried and like, oh, I don't know, everybody, these Levy-outers are nuts, blah blah blah, is going to go. You have the best manager in the world, or one of the best managers in the world, top 3 managers in the world, like now, not in history with their trophies that they've won, but currently in the moment, just won the Scudetto or won the Serie A last season, yep. and is in his prime as a manager. Somebody mentioned he's 52 years old earlier. He's young. He knows exactly what he wants to do. He's one of the most sought after managers on the planet. And if you don't back him, you fail. There's nowhere to hide anymore. I just want to
great question. Sorry,
and that's where I was going to go to next to Hal Perry's question.
Sorry, you go to Hal. Sorry, we go to Hal. Sorry, let's bring that up. We'll go.
Yeah,
I want to go to another one after.
It's essentially what we were just talking about. Yeah, it's essentially what we were just talking about. What do you guys think of solving our attacking goals? We were talking about this earlier, Hal. I don't know if you missed it, but we were talking about, of course, missing a number 10. We haven't replaced Eriksson. We don't have that creative transition from the midfield to the forwards, whereas we're starting to see some of that from the defense to midfield. Will Kane and Son be up front together? It depends on the formation he plays. If he plays a 3-5-2. We're not sure. We do need help. You were just talking, Brian, about Vlahovic. Yep. I think you bring in Vlahovic and you say to Kane and Son, you go, we got this guy now. Do you want to play? Like, show us you want to play. That's exactly. Competition for Harry Kane and for Son in that moment if you're going to play a 3-5-2 and you bring in a player like that, and he's just banging him in right now, and he's young and he's hungry and he's big and he's going to score goals for Spurs if there's creativity there. I'll go to you, Adam, first. I know, Brian, you're dying to say something. Adam, what are your thoughts on Vlahovic coming in and what it would mean for our front, for our forwards and scoring goals and getting creative again, because we're obviously dying for it.
Yeah, it would improve us going forward. It would hopefully boost Kane and Son's confidence, especially Kane's, because he needs all the confidence boost he can get, like, at this point. So, like, I mean, like, they need a player to work with them and to help them go forward, like, and push them, and to put those, even to put at this stage, can't believe I'm saying this now, to put the shots and make them go on target, like we need a shot on target now at this point, and like we can start scoring goals, like, whenever, like, just get the shots on target, and that's like, a stepping stone to it. That's what I can't believe we're still on about, like, just getting shots on target and not scoring extra goals. Like, so we need exactly, but that's the point. Like, we need a player like Vlahovic to guarantee things like that now at this point. Like, it's Kane and Son, they're not getting any younger. Like,
he is going to need some help though with service. And again, this comes back to my point about it not having a 10, not having somebody who's given those balls. As much as we're going to blame Harry Kane and Heung-min Son right now, the quality doesn't go away immediately when maybe something's gotten into your head a little bit. It goes a little bit. Form happens. Form goes up and down to some extent. I really just think they're not getting it. They've been told to not play. Kane's been told you're not coming deep anymore because Conte doesn't want him to. Conte wants him to be in the box and to be on the end of balls. But there's no balls to get on the end of. We're not creating anything for him to get on the end of. And Sonny looks a little bit out of sorts because he's not getting anything from Harry Kane, who's basically gave him every freaking assist in the last season and a half. So you're missing that. You're missing that transition. Brian, I'll let you get out of your system.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll go there. Then I'll bring up a question that's a fantastic question. So, Dusan Vlahovic, okay, so what we've got to look at is, first of all, Dusan Vlahovic has said he's not signing a new contract. He said, listen, I'm not signing. I have every intention to leave. It's just a case of you sell me for money or you sell me or my contract runs down. And as you said, he is banging in the goals. Yeah. There is a guy that is showing a good mentality, a good attitude, and saying, okay, listen, I'm not going to stay, but whilst I'm here, I'm going to give my blood, sweat and tears. And also, if I give my blood, sweat and tears, it's going to attract clubs that come in to get me.
Yep.
And this is a youngster. This is a youngster. And then you've got Harry Kane, who's thrown his toys out the pram and been how he is. You look at Luka Modric when he wanted his move. That last season, he was absolutely outstanding. That shows a lot about the man. Forget the player. That shows a lot about the man. You look at what he can do, like we were saying with Kane and Son and giving them a kick up the arse. I keep going back to this. Diego Jota went to Liverpool when they had the three most deadliest up front, and look what it's done to them. It's revitalised them. They know they have to be on their toes. They know they have to perform.
Competition's there.
And not just that, they give the flexibility to rest the Firmino, to rest the Mane, to rest the Salah, or maybe not Salah right now, but bring Salah off.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't rest Salah.
No,
he's been my captain in my fantasy team
for
since the beginning of the season. So.
But Salah can come off. He can come off after like 70 minutes because the job's done, whatever.
No, he's got to get a third one so I can get my points.
But we can't do that. And obviously, there's no... It's like we're just I keep saying, overplaying and undervaluing these players. Dusan Vlahovic solves all of that.
Yep.
Then you've also got a striker for the foreseeable future because he's so young. So I've been very, very impressed, not with just him on the pitch, but off the pitch and how he's handling. And the Fiorentina fans aren't booing him.
No,
they're not slating him. They see that he's given his all. They understand. Fiorentina are in a position where they understand they're not the biggest club in Italy. To them, they are obviously, but they understand. Listen, we're with that kind of. They're not in the days with Gabriel Batistuta, who when they were right up there. Those days have gone, unfortunately. Maybe they'll come back. But that's how a 21-year-old, I think he is performing and treating this whole contract stuff. So it speaks absolute volumes about him. And then. Yeah, talking about the question, this was a great one. And I did.
You had it ready. I was just going to bring it up for you. Okay,
this one here about should Paratici start looking at the loan market? And do you know what? It's a case of, you know what? This could be vital. This could be because there could be players that are trying to get to the World Cup squad and need a good second half of the season, and maybe there's some with options or obligations to buy, but. At the moment, the loan, from what I know of the loan market, and I haven't really looked at it a lot, we're looking at it closer to the transfer window opening up, is maybe this is an option. If we did that to save money so we could spend big in the summer, I'm kind of on board with that, but it has to be not like we go for Skriniar, then we loan in a Rodon, but obviously Rodon's permanent, but it needs to be, again, a player of that class to show that this is like a statement with like an option or obligation to buy. The loan market may be the way forward. It may be, but like I said,
maybe in January. I think that's a tough one, man. January is such a difficult window, right? I think the thing that's going to get us through January, and Adam, I'll ask you what your thoughts are on this as well. I think the thing that's going to get us through January potentially is a loan deal, but I think it's likely going to be Antonio Conte. I think there'll be players who have a certain amount of time left on another contract. And if Paratici goes in and says, look, Antonio Conte wants you to come to Spurs. He's managing the club. What player is going to say no? They're going to say, look, I want to leave. I've got an opportunity here that I might not ever get again. Maybe that is Vlahovic who says that, he's got 18 months left. Like I think he signed an extension to probably just to make it more expensive so the club can get more money off of it.
That.
But he could say, like, look, now I'm more expensive. Spurs are going to pay for it. Like Conte is in for me no matter what. This is what I want to do. I think Conte's influence is going to have more effect than, say, a short-term loan deal, unless it works with certain players that we know. Maybe it's Barella, who was at Inter. There's a couple other players who are on similar contracts to Vlahovic that are coming closer to an end of them that you could bring in. Maybe it's on a loan, or maybe it's on a, I don't know exactly how it worked, but there's certain players that are in those positions that Conte has worked with before and that he knows will fit a system that he wants to do. And that's what we need, right? If we need a quick fix in January or a fix of some kind that's going to level us up a little bit, it's players he knows that know the system or that really want to work for him. I think that's where I would sit with it. Adam, what do you think about that?
Do you know what we were saying in this part of the world? It's not what you know, it's who you know. If a manager or a man in general like Antonio Conte comes knocking on your door, and if you're like a player that wants to kickstart their career, especially if you're a young player in your early 20s like Vlahovic, you are not going to say no, especially if you've worked with him before and you know what he's about, you are going to 100% go run and they'll be outside the training the training pitch within 2 minutes, even if they're living in halfway across the world, and like you were saying there, we do need some sort of fix. I think Conte needs to deal with the players he has at the moment, hold out as best as he can till January, and then get those signings in. And I think a loan deal could make the difference, because loans there's well, I know there's money involved somewhere, like with the wages stuff, but there's not as much money, nearly as much money.
It gives the loan. It gives the loan club. It gives the club who's loaning their player a feeling that they're not losing the thing that has a massive asset to them, right? And I think that in the right circumstances with the right contract, that can work really well for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, in a way, like both sides win in a loan deal. Look at us with Skip. If Norwich had a great youth player and he beefed up the midfield, and then when we got him back, like the rest is history.
Yeah, for sure. Brian, are you looking at some comments there you want to chat about?
Yeah, no, there's what I want to bring up just from my boy Aaron about not seeing Sean Snow live on the show. So
we'll get you on.
So Sean, we need to get in contact. Aaron, your wish. Just stay tuned. Stay tuned. Sean, we'll be in contact with you very, very shortly because I know you had a chat with Ireland about something. So there could be something in the pipeline very, very soon. Sean, now I'm back. We're going to get serious down talking to you. And also, just Mr. K's big in the chat. So I just want to say hello to him.
Yes, I was about to shout him out. Yeah.
Mr. K, who's
he has helped me so much. Last week, one day, he rang me and he helped me so much with getting over a mental health issue I was dealing with. So what an absolute man. He rang me at the perfect time. I also give a second shout out to a fella called Ed Warson, but like everyone in the chat, myself, call it, we just call him AE, and he's also a legend, whether you agree with his opinions or not, he's always saying hello to you, if he knows you from the other chats, and he's a great supporter as well. So big up to both of them, So actually, no, and also shout out to everyone in the chat, there's so much knowledge being flowed around tonight, it's unreal.
Yeah, for sure. The support's been fantastic. Yeah, 100%. Sorry, Adam, go ahead.
Eugene show is here as well. And just Privy from Eugene's stream is here as well. So this legend here.
Yeah,
shout out to him as well.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Oh man, guys, I mean we're an hour and 15 minutes in. We've had a steady flow of peeps. I got some other things I got to do, so I think it's time to wrap it up. But I just wanted to quickly, before we wrap up this stream, safe standing has been approved in the stadium. It's starting in January 2022, so next year. Does this have an effect that much? I mean, doesn't everybody in the area that is going to be safe standing already stand? Brian, you've been there at the stadium recently. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, this is something I want to talk about. Also, there's something I want to say at the end as well about the channel, Brian. So maybe we'll do that at the end. So
we'll get a final thoughts from Adam, and then we'll go to you, Brian.
So when it comes to safe standing, listen, I was lucky enough in my time recently back home to be in the South Stand with Ben and with everyone and Simeon and Grandpa and Danny Kiriakou. And you got to see there are pockets everywhere that are standing constantly. But what happens is you get the stewards coming in and saying, sit down, sit down, sit down. So the things that Spurs do is when they sit down, everyone sits down. As soon as the stewards are gone, they just sing stand up if you hate, and everyone gets back up again. So you know what I mean?
That's amazing.
The thing around it as well is, when I say about safe standing, I don't know. We've been approved. I don't know if it's going to be in the South Stand. But the great thing about Conte coming in,
it was in the article that I read.
We have needed an animated manager who is so animated on the touchline and is visually doing stuff to get that South Stand rocking.
Oh.
Because on the big games like the Chelsea's, it's pumped up. And don't get me wrong, when we all booed when Mora got subbed and when the Levy out chant started, but you need, like the cop, you need that South Stand. If that South Stand is going to be a wall of noise, you need it to be there. Now,
it's the 12th man. I know it's like that stupid cliche, but it really is a thing, man. It really is a thing.
Cliches, it's the most important and most obvious one because it makes such a huge difference. And one of the things about saying the acoustics is, but when you go to Wembley, and I'm sure a lot of people here have been to Wembley, the acoustics in that stadium are shocking, absolutely shocking.
What, in Wembley?
Oh, well, Wembley, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're appalling. I don't know how England spent that much money and got the acoustics so badly wrong. But they've done it at Tottenham where it's geared up to sound noisy. When
something Levy got right, to be fair to him, you know.
With that,
to the list of two things he's gotten right.
So listen, safe standing. It's been about time. It's about time. Listen, we know why standing was taken away. Obviously, there's been some disasters, obviously, and it was without a doubt within reason. But we've come a long way since then, thankfully, with stadium technology. the way crowds react, and also when you look at the South Stand, the leg room that's now available there, and the way it's set up is it's not you're so hemmed in like sardines. You have, and I think this is a wonderful thing, and it's about time. And I just hope that it starts in the South Stand, because that South Stand, literally, I mean, I think they made a glaring mistake not saying to the people in the shelf side of the Park Lane who make like in that quarter of like half the Park Lane and half the shelf, or more than half the shelf side. They should have said, right, 17,500 of you, that's where you're going. That's where I know everyone wants to get in that stand, but to make that stand what it was, to start off with, that's what they need to do. They need to get as many, because there's pockets here, it's growing and growing, but thankfully, seeing safe standing back is a wonderful thing to see. And I just hope it's handled rightly, and we get this to become bigger segments, because there is definitely a huge difference when you're standing as opposed to sitting. There is no doubt about it.
Yeah, 100%. Quick question for you, Adam. What's your access to the stadium like? You know, I don't know if I probably know that you're not living in London. Am I right on that with the accent?
Oh no, I am a long way away from London. I never even been to London in my life. Like, so
right.
I mean, like, hopefully if I was at the stadium, I'd have pretty easy enough access. Like, well, like if Daniel Levy wasn't our owner, of course, like, because, you know, I'm one of those people who just doesn't like to put any type of like 1 cent into his pocket.
Not spending money on it for sure.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the safe standing though, from an atmosphere perspective, right? Like, what does that do for that sort of that 12th man sort of idea? You think it's
like if we're talking, yeah. Oh yeah, it's going to be positive if we're talking from that perspective. Yeah, I mean, Brian just hit everything on the head there. Like, I mean, like, especially like with the whole, you'll stand up if you hate Arsenal chants. Like, you know, and everyone just stands up. Like, I loved it when he mentioned that. Like, I mean, that's just classic.
That's pure
classic
class,
Tottenham. Like, that's classic Tottenham. I love it. But like, also you have to take into account the safety thing as well. Like I mean, I have to be. I know there's a Liverpool fan in the chat, like as well. Like, he's a good supporter. So I have to, Ronan, so I have to be very careful now what I'm about to say. Like, like obviously, like, you know, Brian referenced it there. Like, but I mean, let's mention it. Let's I mean, the reason why we have what we have, or at least up until a few days, today, like when it was brought back, like we had the seat not all the stadium was because of the Hillsborough disaster. Like, and actually, I'm not sure if you heard about this. Like a day or two ago, like there was this concert thing, like, and people were killed at that. Like, people were killed at that, like, for the same reason, human crushing. Like, okay, I know the singer was being a dick and he was telling people to push forward and stuff, but like, I mean, like, you know, the same things happened as in people were shouting. Sued, by the way, shouting them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I mean, like, me and my college friends were only talking about this today. But like, what struck me was like the same. It was kind of like the same thing, like, you know, how people were literally going up on stage and shouting at them, like, to stop, to stop it, because people were getting crushed and like no one was listening to them, and how, like, you know, like, I mean, the fact that actually, why was that even out happening in the first place? Like,
it's shameful. It's such a strange phenomenon and odd.
Yeah, and like, the point I want to make anyway, and I hate to interrupt you yet again, but I don't want it to happen again. Like, let's just not see something like that happen again. Like Brian said, if we're going to bring standing back, and for the sound of things they have, let's emphasize the word safe standing. Like there's, you know, obviously, like, we want it to be packed with fans, but like just enough. But I also, at the same time, enough room for people, like, you know, to at least breathe, like, and to talk, like, and to think properly. Because if you're in a situation where you're crossed up, like you can't think properly.
Yeah, 100%.
You can't even think about bloody breathing, for crying out loud. Like, so let's. I mean, I just like hope.
Let's do it right, so we can enjoy it. Like the fans who are there can enjoy it, and that the team gets a result out of it, because that's the point.
And also,
can I creating more atmosphere is better for the team. So go on, Adam.
Can I just say, let's hope that the police aren't a bunch of corrupt pricks this time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that's a good show. 100%, because that was a massive problem, and they denied it for a long time. That's a whole other podcast we could do on that. But I think it's a positive thing for the atmosphere of the stadium. I think it's a positive thing.
Atmosphere, definitely,
for English football, that they're starting to explore it again. But of course, like you just said, Adam, and it's a very good point, is just do it right. If you're going to do it right. Make sure that it's eased into, and then everybody understands that how this is going to function, and that we don't have yahoos getting in there and doing stupid shit, including the stewards and the cops, the old Bill that are in there doing it. All right, so that's going to bring us to the end of the show. Adam, I just want to thank you for coming on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Wonderful job again.
I want to thank you two, Legend, as well, like, for having me on again. Like,
not anytime, buddy.
We're talking, like, about making this a regular thing, like, and I'd say this is like the beginning of it, like.
100%, mate. 100%, and
Yeah.
a wonderful job. And we'll talk to you about, and we'll let everybody know on Tottenham On Tour that what we'll be doing, whether it's a regular appearance on our podcast or a specific show, which we'd like to do with you as well. So we'll get into that, and that'll be fun to discuss, and looking forward to it. And sweet, and thanks, Adam. And I'm gonna, Brian, I'm gonna let you finish this off because I know that you're dying to I can always tell Brian's like, he starts doing the.
Yeah, I do the Cody. I do the Cody.
Yeah. He's like, I'm thinking. Let me speak.
My wisdom is as big as Cody's because Cody's right down here for his wisdom. So I've got just a. But no, I thought
Cody's like that.
I'm going to go on a bit of an emotional one. Now, obviously, I want to just thank every single person that's in the chat now or that will be watching this later, because obviously we started this channel and we left Tottenham away and we started this one up. Now, when I left for England, we are on 300, very low 300 subscribers now. During that time, you supported me and Brian and me being on Tottenham On Tour, We Are Tottenham TV. And
We Are Tottenham On Tour, I think is what it was called.
Yeah, We Are Tottenham On Tour. Basically, we've jumped up to 714 subscribers like in two weeks, which is, like, the growth is outstanding. Thank you, everybody, for your support. It's been brilliant. And you know what? Brian Ireland's always said to me, it's not the quantity of content that you put out, it's the quality of what we put out. And like I said, when we've been in England or I've been in London and Brian's been here in Toronto, obviously it's restricted us time-wise about what we can do, whether it's pre-recorded or recorded. Now, for the first time in 7 or 8 weeks, I'm actually meeting up with Brian Ireland face-to-face on Friday, and we're going to spend the day together.
It's going to be epic.
There will be
Friday night with the two Bryans is back.
There will be a Friday night with the two Bryans special, because obviously we're going to be at Brian's studio. But what we're doing during the day is literally we're having a serious meeting about where we're going to take this channel and ideas and getting everything. Like, at the moment, when we were on Tottenham Away, we had guests booked in for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and we had like a system where we had everything ready. The two Bryans was just like a win, but the Monday podcast was set, the guests, everything. So we're thinking of new shows to bring to you to thank you for the wonderful support that you give us. We're going to be booking people for a regular podcast where we will be doing a genuine podcast. We want more shows where we'll be more interactive with you, the viewers, and getting you more involved. So there is a lot to come from Tottenham On Tour, because we really are talking about going next level and beyond with the ideas we've got.
And the name Tottenham On Tour, Brian, there's something specific that's coming up eventually about that.
There's something very
we're holding on to the details of that, because
we're holding on until that's made official. Brian, we need to speak about that with Ilana, my beautiful wife, afterwards, or later on. But yeah, there is a lot more coming for you. And honestly, I just want to thank, or we want to thank you from the bottom of our heart, because the growth in like 2 or 3 weeks has been outstanding, and you have no idea how much it means to me and Brian. And like I said, there is a lot more coming your way and to be revealed. And if any of you in the chat want to come on or have a great idea for a show and you're like, oh, I'd like to be a part of it, or I'd like to see this on YouTube, please reach out to Brian Ireland on Twitter. It's simply at Tottenham On Tour, or any of our socials. And a lot of people, I give out my WhatsApp number too, so feel free to WhatsApp me or direct message me. I always respond. And yeah, just a huge thank you for all the support you've given us. And Adam, once again, mate, you're a superstar. You know what I think of you. We've been in contact on and off via chats and WhatsApp and everything for over like 6, 7, 8 months maybe. And it's a pleasure to have you on the show again.
All right, and I want to do something traditional here to end this, because we've got a bunch of people, obviously, in the Spurs community who are about to go live or are going live later this evening. Tommy Talks Ball right now is starting to stream on his channel.
Which I'm about to go on.
Yeah, legend.
Yeah, because Brian's going to go over there, raid Tommy Talks Ball from Tottenham On Tour. If you're still here with us. Raid. Yeah, do a raid, hop on over there and say hello. Definitely. And make sure you support Tommy. He's doing wonderful stuff as well. I would say shout out to Mr. K is also doing Will Stewart's gonna be doing a show later tonight.
I'll be tuning into that.
Nice, yeah, it's gonna be good stuff. So tune into that 11 p.m. That's about a half an hour's time it starts. Again, raid wherever you're gonna go, raid. It's the community.
Yeah, always, man.
Such a great thing to be a part of. And I think that'll end it for us. I want to thank you, Adam. You've been brilliant. Really great today. And we're looking forward to having you back on, and we'll discuss what we'll do in the future. And of course, Brian, my guy. Great to have you back. Great to have you back. in Toronto. Two Brians at it again, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Spurs.
Peace out.
Peace.
And leave you out.